Huzzah, fair folk, and welcome back to Let's Play Eric the Unready. I am thy humble bard Starman, and I am here to guide you through this most adventurous of games. But hark, let us begin as we always do with the opening of the day, and read the newspaper after we see where we are. Gaily dressed crowds of people stream past you into a meadow decorated with the banners and pavilions. It is the St. Barkins Day Fair, renowned across Taurus as the liveliest festival in the land. The entrance to the fair is to the north, and to the road winds up into the hills to the west. A herald stands nearby, reading a proclamation from a scroll. You see a newspaper here. Get newspaper. Read newspaper. Psychic Turtle predicts quest outcome. The stars are with you, Turtle tells Eric, but Gemini individual may seek to hinder progress. Hey, I'm a Gemini. Wait a minute. In a separate exclusive interview of what we laughingly refer to as an Inquirer reporter, the Turtle also predicted romance for Liz and continued weight problems for Oprah. Leicester Castle was destroyed yesterday when a gigantic foot descended from the sky and smashed the fortress into the ground. What's the matter? Ain't you ever seen the foot of God crush a fortress before? Eyewitness reports from the scene say there was a squishing sound and a muffled "Sacre Bleu," followed by an eerie silence. No services will be held for the defenders of the castle, as they all appear to have been foreigners. Bizarre death and unicorn taunting. Authorities yesterday reported another in a bizarre series of deaths. Rupert the Slow was found dead yesterday after what experts say was a fatal session of unicorn taunting. This outlawed sport involves mooning the unicorn, which enrages the puritanical beast and causes him to charge. The mooner then jumps out of harm's way at the last second. Rupert apparently didn't jump in time. Services will be held at the Edward II Memorial Chapel in Gloucester. St. Barkhan's Day Fair opens. The annual St. Barkhan Days Fair begins today, and the highlight of the fair is expected to be the unveiling of the long-awaited advance in personal hygiene, the Chamber Pot of Tomorrow. The Chamber Pot will be on display along with other futuristic devices that will be closely guarded by the Troll Protection Agency. TPA. Personal. Oedipus, come home. Your father misses you. Love, Mom. For sale, 2 superb hunting dogs. Answer for the names of Drizzleblinger and Sniffleblade. Contact Elrod of Mealybone. Yes, well, that is of course a reference to the writings of Michael Moorcock. And I just said that so I could say the word Moorcock. Feeling old? Drop by my studio for a private portrait sitting. It'll take years off your life. D. Gray. Calling all insomniacs. Boy, have I got a cure for you. Contact RV Winkle Enterprises. Legal notice. All future contracts will be negotiated in cash only. No non-liquid securities such as body parts will be considered. Shylock Merchant. Ah, highfalutin Shakespeare reference there. Lost. Absolutely worthless map. Sentimental value only. Small reward. LJ Silver. Alright, let's read the scroll that the Herald has. The Herald catches you peeking at the scroll, clears his throat theatrically, and pronounces, Hey ye, hey ye, by the grace of His Majesty King Fudd the soon-to-be deceased, ye are hereby welcome to the Festival of St. Barkhan. Following are the rules of the festival. Wenches shall remain clothed at all times, except when circumstances dictate otherwise. Bodily functions are to be discreetly handled. Of spitting there shall be none, nor of spritzing, nor hawking of loogies. In addition, ye may not vomit. Barfing, hurling, and puking likewise shall not be countenanced. Nor shalt thou spew, nor lose thy toss thy cookies. Blowing chunks is right out. Punishment for engaging in these activities is 10 minutes in the stocks. Have a nice day. Let's try kissing. No, let's not. The Herald clears his throat and proclaims at the top of his voice, Hey ye, hey ye! Be it known across the land upon this day, Eric the Unready came out of the closet. Film at 11. And of course that is on the list of stuff to do. Along with... Oh, sure. Kill the messenger. It's not my fault there's so many bloody rules. As far as I'm concerned, you can go inside and puke your brains out. Don't you have that many to spare? The Herald says it's okay to do that here, but don't let them catch you doing it inside. Alright, well, just for a second, let's head west before we go into the fair. As you follow the road up into the hills, the landscape grows darker and more foreboding until the road stops just below a black, jagged cave entrance. You scramble up the hillside and feel your way around in the ominous shadows. Suddenly, a huge dragon looms out of the darkness. Behind the monster, you see a ring and the raw stake of eternity. Before you can make a move, the dragon spews a stream of fire directly at the top of your head. You roll to one side to avoid the fiery onslaught and flee from the cave to the safety of the flatlands. You scramble down the hillside and don't stop running until you're back outside the fair. The herald looks at you and grins. Been to see the dragon, have you? Well, you're not going to get very far with him until you've got something to protect the top of your head from those flames of his. And let's go ahead and examine the herald. He's a heraldic-looking herald. Moon, the herald. You bury your bomb at the herald, but he appears fundamentally unimpressed. Not surprising. And we'll go ahead and talk to him. Your name wouldn't happen to be Harold, would it? Well, yes, its name has been the Tribune family for years. Why do heralds always say hark? Well, it'd sound bloody silly if we ran around saying snorkel, now wouldn't it? Can't very well get people's attention that way. Why do you look so different in the other picture? That's my formal portrait. I use it for making an official announcement. For casual conversations like this, I can use my everyday picture. Tell me about the fair. It's a wonderful fair loved by all, except people with queasy stomachs. Just go inside, listen to the Storyteller in the Amphitheater. He'll tell you everything you need to know. I bid thee farewell. Alright. Let's see, Fairgrounds. You join the stream of people and soon come to the heart of the fair, a well-trampled meadow surrounded by food stalls, tents, and pavilions. The crowds swirl around you, revealing occasional glimpses of strolling musicians, jugglers, sword swallowers, jesters, and fire eaters. In the very center of the field is a striped maypole that is topped by a long red scarf. Nearby, a whole boar is roasting on a spit that turns under the watchful eye of a burly cook. Gaming areas lie to the west and northeast. The stockade is to the east, and a path leads north to a natural amphitheater. You can leave the fair by going south. Okay, look at pig. The boar is skewered out on the spit. The skewer runs right through its empty, gaping mouth. Look at spit. The spit is hardworking and conscientious. It keeps the boar from falling into the fire, which is more than you've done with a boar. It's a good spit. The kind that would have made its mother proud, except that spits don't have mothers, which is one reason why they're all so melancholy. Okay, turn the spit. The chef brushes you aside. Not just anyone can turn a spit. You know, I took 3 courses in spit turning at the academy, and my thesis theories on the advantages of clockwise rotation won the Richard II Memorial Award. Yeah, just checking the list, because there is a list of fun stuff to do with the spit. Look at the pole. It's about 30 feet tall and greased within an inch of its life. From the very top of the pole, a long red boa flutters invitingly in the breeze. Let's try cleaning the pole. If 7 maids have 7 mops, perhaps they could get it clean in 7 years. But you don't have 7 maids, you don't have 7 mops, and I'm not waiting around 7 years for you to figure this one out. Yes, obviously I'm checking the list of funny stuff to try and seeing what we have here. Let's go ahead and keep wandering around. Let's check out the games. Shooting gallery. You've wandered into a shooting gallery manned by a friendly-looking barker. The pavilion is long and narrow with 3 rows of moving targets at the far end. The barker gives you a crossbow and says, shoot at any target you like. Okay, let's shoot this target. You fire the crossbow, but the coral misses the target. The barker spots 2 women in the crowd and says to you, the blonde one's mine, you can have the redhead. No problem there. I likes me redheads. You fire the crossbow, but the coral misses the targets. And keep trying. The crossbow strikes the target. Congratulations, says the barker. He tosses you a chicken. And he says that line again. And he is unimpressed by my bottom as well. Let's try talking to him. You seem to be inordinately interested in winches. Chicks dig me. Why fight it? What'd I get if I hit a target? A rubber chicken and always make her a whoopee cushion, but only while supplies last. What's your best pickup line? I knew you needed help. Well, listen up. Here's what you do. You take her hand. You look deep into her eyes. You tell her that your souls have called out to each other since the dawn of time. And then you say, want to fool around? It doesn't always work, but it weeds out the duds in a hurry. Didn't I see on Studs? Studs being a 1990s TV show that was, it involved very sleazy men trying to pick up on women, dating game style. Nah, those guys are losers, strictly amateur hour. As simulating as this has been, I nevertheless must go now. And let us shoot another one. I get a whoopee cushion. And one more. I got a noisemaker. The barker reaches out and grabs the crossbow. Can't people walking out with the equipment, he says. And let's go ahead and talk to Chef. Who gets to eat the boar? It's for the fair organizers. As soon as it's done, I've got to change my posh clothes and deliver it to him. The boar looks done to me. What are you waiting for? I know I've forgotten something. I just can't remember what it is. Could it be the herbs, spices, special sauce, sesame seed bun? Surely you've heard that barbecue meat contains all kinds of carcinogens. What do you care? You're not the one who's going to be eating it. And don't call me Shirley. Badumch. Okay, can I call you Chrome Dome? Sure, assuming you won't mind that I stuff hot coals down your pants. What's with the red scarf up there? The boa? It belongs to Lily. Go to one of our shows in the Amphitheater and you'll learn all about it. I don't believe we have anything more to say to each other. Parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Sorry, I just had to. Alright, let's go ahead and explore eastward. Stockade. You push your way around a dense circle of people gathered around the stocks. The pillory is a clumsy wooden affair with holes for the neck and wrists. It is currently empty, and the crowd eagerly awaits a new target of abuse. A pavilion lies to the east, and the meadow lies to the west. A police nymph drags in a disreputable-looking man and locks him in the stocks. Nope! I draw the line bondage scenes. For that kind of action, you're going to have to get some other, much less reputable game, like S301 Spring Break. Maybe we did something more chaste. Nope. Same thing. Alright, well, let's talk to this poor unfortunate man. What's your name? My name is Faithful Fimpton. I don't know why I come here every year because I always seem to end up in the flocks. Ah, spit talker. Here, catch. Sure, go ahead and make fun of me. Everyone else does. Are you comfortable? I make a good living. Don't think about your nose. If you do, it might start to itch. Thanks. I'll try not to keep that in mind. Try this one. She sells seashells by the seashore. Only a small mind would be amused by stuff of death. I think I've taunted you enough for now. Thank heaven for small favors. Sure. Hit a guy while he's down. Spit on man. The code of chivalry is so deeply ingrained within you that such an action is not possible. Okay, let's just spit. A police nymph appears out of nowhere. She grabs your ear and twists it like your first grade teacher used to do. Then she drags you off through the crowd to the stocks. Once there, she puts all your possessions in a pile, frees the current victim, and then lowers the bar over your neck and wrists. Then she locks you in, and she disappears. Escape! Stocks. You cannot get out of the stocks. There is no escape. Some teenage girls in the crowd point at you, whisper something to each other, and then giggle. Okay, get out of stocks. Didn't I just say there was no escape? Didn't you think I was joking? Am I some kind of a clown to you? Do you think I'm here to amuse you? You do? Well, okay then, I'm still not letting you out of the stocks. You get an itch between your shoulder blades. An angelic-looking young boy toddles along next to his father. The father says to him, "You've been such a good boy, Easton. Here's a nice shiny apple." The father turns away for a moment, and the boy sticks his tongue out at you. You can't do that while you're in the stocks. The boy makes a face at you. Taunt boy. The boy throws the apple at you, striking you on the nose. The apple rolls into your pile of possessions. The father tugs on the boy's hand and says, "Come along now, it's time to leave." The boy starts to protest, but the father pulls him off into the crowd. Yeah, not much to do, but wait. Or taunt crowd. You stick out your tongue and say, You're not the best fairgoers I've ever seen, so there. A chicken comes and pecks at your feet. Make faces at crowd. You do a quick imitation of Harpo Marx listening to opera music and amuse only yourself and me. An urchin steps forward and holds a dead stinking rat just under your nose. Oh, cheerful. The nymph returns. She opens the stocks, restores all your possessions, and disappears. Okay, well, let's head eastward once more. The Fool's Pavilion. You have stumbled into a convention of fools. You see some scorecards here. A burly-looking fool comes up to you, hits you with his pig's bladder, and says, "Fools, auditions this way." He sits you down in front of 3 sour-faced judges. "Go ahead," says one of them. "Be funny." Fools? They look more like stooges to me. Have you ever heard of Mo, Larry, and Curly? Why, yes, Mo Fistlebottom, Larry of Southwark, and Curly Fries. They're your most respected outtours in the business. They're greasy upon the two-fingered eye poke is a classic in the field. Very high on the nyuk-nyuk meter. If I become a fool, do I get April the 1st off? Of course not. Don't be an idiot. Well, be an idiot, but not in that way. Harumph. Harumph! Tell me about those hats. They're actually very sturdy. There's a steel cap inside to protect your head from thrown objects, and the whole thing is fireproof in case somebody tries to set you on fire. Sounds like just the sort of thing we need for dragon fighting. Do any of you guys ever go bad? Yes, occasionally, fools can go over to the dark side of humor. The last time it happened, we banished the evil jester to Crydania, and he hadn't been heard of since. Yes, that is in fact a reference to another adventure game series set in the land of Crydania, where the main bad guy is in fact an evil jester. What are you two guys on the ends doing with your hands? None of your business. I'll get on with your audition. Thank you and good night. You've been a great audience. You have to do much better than that if you have to win your fool's cap. Fart. Don't need to use the word fart in this game. Moon judges. The judges crack up. You score a 9.4. One of the judges stands and tones, "By virtue of the power vested in me by the Fool's Guild, I hereby name you Apprentice Fool. You are entitled to wear this hat at all times, and return in 1 year to qualify for full membership in the guild." He gives you a fool's cap and escorts you out of the pavilion to the stockade. "Now get out there and make a fool of yourself," he says. "Make us proud." Wear hat. And let's go ahead and examine the apron. It's a clean white apron that says, "Poke me with a fork, I think I'm done." Well, what does he need to serve a pig? I think he needs an apple. Give apple to chef. The cook slaps himself on the forehead and says, "That's what I've been missing." He puts out the fire and says, "Thank you. Now I can deliver this pig." He removes his apron and rolls up his sleeves. Then he calls out his assistant to him, carry the spit up on their shoulders, and carry away the boar. Wear apron. And let's go ahead and check out the amphitheater. You're sitting on a hillside that makes a natural amphitheater overlooking a stage. There's a sign here. Beyond it, a path leads around to the north to the stage entrance. Another leads off to the west. Read sign. Today's events. 11 o'clock, the story of the dragon. Noon, Lily. 1 o'clock, the juggler's vein. 2 o'clock, Lily. 3 o'clock, the juggler's vein. And 4 o'clock, the juggler's vein. Now let's go ahead and head north. A burly stage manager appears from nowhere and says, "Entry by invitation only. Get lost." Well, we got some time before the acts start. We didn't head west yet. So let's see. Shady area. This is a shady area just to the west of the meadow. There is a 3-handed elf here, ranged out in front of him are 3 shells. 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 green. He's constantly moving the shells around, lifting the first one and then another, tossing a pea back and forth. On the tree behind him are some woodcuts. Step right up, who's next? Just a few minutes of your life against the chance to win some woodcuts of the lovely Lady Lily. You, sir, would you like to play? I would like to look at the woodcuts. There are many ways to look in this game. Try looking at, looking under, or inside the woodcuts. Okay, look at woodcuts. The elf very shrewdly hung the woodcuts in such a way that you can see that they are silhouettes of Lily, but not much else. One of the strolling musicians wanders by. He plays the game and wins, but turns down the prize. Yeah, let's talk to him. How do you play that thing? Well, right now I can't. It's missing a reed. If I don't get one soon, I'll lose my job. Why do you keep playing the game and turning down the woodcuts? I'm just trying to buy time. That's the last set of woodcuts the elf has got. If I take them, he'll close up shop and go away. Nice shades. Thanks. They're polarized, waterproof, fireproof, and shock resistant. Perfect for gigs with really tough, rough crowds. How do you keep beating the elf? He has his magic, I have mine. Later, dude. And we will go ahead and talk to the elf. Do you buy your shirts off the rack? Certainly. Why do you ask? Don't look now, but some of you stuffed hot dogs on the side of your head. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, his elvish ears look rather hot doggy. Tell me about the game. And you just lost the game. It's really quite simple. I hide the P, you try to find it. All it costs is a few minutes of your time. What are the stakes of the game? If I win, my lifespan increases by a few minutes and your lifespan decreases. But if you win, you get some of my minutes, plus you get the woodcuts. Tell me about the woodcuts. They're the latest in erotica from Lily's fevered imagination. People are paying a silver penny just to spend 2 minutes looking at them. How do you get a copy of the woodcuts? Let's just say there's some advantages to having 3 hands, and Lily appreciates people with special talents. Aren't show games like this illegal? What? I can't hear you. Somebody has slapped hot dogs on the side of my head. Enough talk, let's get back to the action. Okay, play the game. Certainly, sir, says the elf. He puts the P under the blue shell and starts moving the shells around. After a moment, he stops and says, all right, where's the P? Blue shell. You turn to the blue shell, but discover nothing underneath. The elf turns over the red shell to reveal the P and says, sorry, better luck next time. You suddenly feel a few minutes older while the elf appears a few minutes younger. Okay, let's get clever and try undo. The elf peers out through the computer screen and notices your maneuver. He points skyward and shouts, look, it's Haley's Comet! You glance up and out of the corner of your eye you catch the elf reshuffling the shells. Well, so much for that. I think we're going to need to help the musician out before we can win at this game. But thankfully there is one more place to go and look at things. The Pavilion of Tomorrow! The Pavilion of Tomorrow is packed with futuristic technology, which sets out what life on Taurus will look like in the not-too-distant future, next Sunday AD. On the main table are a hoop, a chamber pot, a rubber band, an odd-looking kitchen device, a viper's cage, a gong, a model of a catapult, and an aardvark. On a pedestal off to one side is a very large leech. The only exit lies to the east. In the cage, you see a viper. And I'm thinking it might be a good idea to save here. Alright, let us examine everything here. Examine the chamber pot. Soon privies will be a thing of the past. Instead, everybody will have his own personal chamber pot permanently attached to his or her rin. Think of the convenience. No more midnight sorties out in the dark. No more shared facilities. Each pot will be contoured to fit the posterior of the individual. With the chamber pot tomorrow, instant relief is always just behind you. Okay, examine the catapult. Cat Jet 3 Assault Catapult. This is a working model of the Cat Jet 3 Assault Catapult. This weapon is years from completion, but when it goes into production, it will revolutionize the art of siege warfare. Note the sleek modern design. The new reduction gear windlass will take only 5 peasants to operate instead of the now standard 15. In addition, the casualty rate due to misfires will only be 1 death per 6 launchings. Higher trajectory for clearing castle walls, special livestock options for fleeing cows and other large farm animals. The deluxe model, the Louis XV edition, will have a special peasant switch to give new meaning to the phrase, surf's up. Examine the rubber band. Tired of losing the key to that all-important piece of hardware? Just attach it to your belt with this key ring of the future. The key will always be available, and because the ring is stretchable, there's no need to detach it when speed is your top priority. Iron Maiden key ring. Alright, examine the Viper. Judicial innovation, trial by Viper. Years from today, our system of trial by ordeal will be regarded as barbaric. Replacing it will be the more scientific trial by Viper. Recent studies show that guilty people sweat more than innocent people, and that Vipers are particularly sensitive to the kind of sweat a guilty person produces. Trial by Viper will require both parties in a lawsuit put their arms inside the viper's cage. Because the viper abhors the sweat of the guilty, it will bite the arm of the innocent man. Once the guilty party has thus been identified, the court will force him to pay restitution to the estate of the innocent man, who will have died with the satisfaction of having given his life to the cause of justice. Okay, examine the aardvark. Personal hygiene system. Exhaustive research has revealed that of all the people who have ever died of the Black Death, none has ever expired while holding an aardvark. Futurists predict that the Anteater's amazing prophylactic powers will be sought by so many people that within the next 10 years, every man, woman, and child on Taurus will carry an aardvark with them at all times. Let us examine the leech. Bloodletting is a slow, painful process that barber surgeons now believe may actually be harming the patients. In the world of the future, giant leeches like this one will speed up the process tenfold. Well, heck, get leech. Carefully, you pick up the giant slug, taking care to ensure that sucker has no chance to attach itself to your skin. And examine the screen. It's a small piece of translucent material that is currently raised. Lower shade. Examine the gong. Signaling device. Ever had a problem getting service in a tavern? This personal signaling device will eliminate that headache forever. Whenever you wish to attract the attention of that wandering waiter, simply bang on the gong. It sends out an unmistakable message that will be sure to attract the waiter, if not the management, to your side post-haste. And let's check out the Crush-O-Matic. Kitchen appliance. It's the amazing new Crush-O-Matic, the all-in-one kitchen appliance of the future. No more slicing, no more dicing. Simply crushes your food to a pulp. Cuts food preparation time in half. The 2,500-pound weight is guaranteed to puree any vegetable or mash any fruit. Kills, plucks, and guts a chicken with a flip of a switch. Some cleanup required. Great for people with no teeth. Alright, well, we have quite a few fun things we can do in this place. Checking the list out. First of all, let's go ahead and look at the chamber pot. If you're hoping to get some really gross, disgusting message about the awful, disgusting, foul-smelling, stomach-wrenching muck that can usually be found sloshing around a chamber pot in the villages of a chamber pot, I guess you lucked out. Alright, we can also try to sit in chamber pot. You don't have to go right now. And yeah, thought there might be something unique there, but not so much. Okay. Interesting thought, but this guy slipped you the tongue, it could be fatal. You quietly decide not to take the chance. You plant a wet one on the leech's sucker. It responds by hoovering your lungs through your mouth. You have failed. Undo. The cage is constructed in such a way that you can get your hand in, but you can't get the viper out. Put hand in cage. Let's think this thing through. Sure, there's a hole big enough to put your hand through, but why take a chance unless there's something specific that you're trying to accomplish? Of course, if there is something neat you want to do with the viper, you can always just say what it is. Kissing a viper, while it might satisfy some bizarre sexual urge, won't get you anywhere in this game. Thinking very hard about the time you played hooky from school, you put the hand into the cage. You run your hand slowly along the viper. It glares at you. Then, still moving slowly, you withdraw. Guilty thoughts. Guilty thoughts. Alright, let's try and get cage. Some untrusting soul seems to have bolted the cage to the table. Cover cage. My apron. A psycho-zoological nymph appears and says, "Please do not put anything on the viper's cage. It disturbs the snake's delicate biorhythms and may cause him to experience an anxiety displacement which, if untreated, could easily escalate to a triumphant catharsis of a disruptive and virulent nature." The nymph disappears but is quickly replaced by a psychobabble translation nymph, who says she means you'll piss him off. You blink your eyes and the second nymph is gone. Well, that was something. Do it. Let's go ahead and put rubber band on the viper. Thinking very guilty thoughts, you put your hand inside the cage and slip the band over the viper's mouth. The snake tries to hiss at you, but comes out. Ugh. And for this, we will tie aardvark with bungee cord and stand on board. Okay, get chamber pot. As you reach for the chamber pot, your hand accidentally brushes against the catapult. The hair trigger on the catapult fires. The black marble arches through the air and hits the closed window shade. The marble drops down into the viper's cage and hits the viper squarely on the head. The marble rolls out of the cage. The aardvark mistakes the marble for a large, particularly juicy black bug and starts to give chase, but it is soon pulled up short by the bungee. Not to be stopped, the aardvark unfurls his incredibly long tongue, which unfortunately gets entangled in the switch that activates the crush-o-matic. The huge weight falls to the floor and slams into a floorboard, which immediately pivots up and crashes into the gong. A very large, very stupid troll lumbers into the room. "Display not touch," he recites mechanically. He finds the marble and reloads the catapult as he winds the crush-o-matic's weight back up to the top. Knuckles dragging against the floor, the troll lumbers away again. Okay, stand on floorboard. Now, get. And same thing happens this time. Not to be stopped, the aardvark unfurls this incredibly long tongue, which unfortunately gets entangled in the switch that activates the crush-o-matic. The huge weight falls to the floor and slams into the loose floorboard, sending you flying up into the air. You do a double somersault in the air and land butt first in the chamber pot. You stagger to your feet and tug at the pot, but it is now firmly attached to your backside. The marble seems to have disappeared, and the only positive note is your activity doesn't seem to have alerted the troll. Okay, yeah, I don't need to use the word troll in the game. Apparently he's not here. Get. Okay, the gleam in the viper's eye suggests that removing the rubber band will be the very next to last thing you do. The very last thing, of course, would be to clutch your throat in agony going, "Gah!" Alright. Well, I think that gives us just enough time to go and listen to the Storyteller. The Amphitheater fills up as Storyteller comes out onto the stage. The Story of the Dragon. Once upon a time, a baby dragon was born to an overprotective mother who took the infant to the River of Magic, which was renowned for conferring invulnerability upon those who bathe in its waters. Legend says that just when the mother dipped the baby into the river, the god of mischief snuck up behind her and tickled her. She almost dropped the baby into the river, but by some adroit juggling managed to save the infant from drowning. As the baby grew to dragonhood, it became apparent that it was indeed invulnerable, except for one spot that constantly shifted among the various places where its mother had touched it during the juggling act. Cloaked in its near-complete invulnerability, the dragon ravaged the countryside. By day, he lurked in his cave, guarding the raw stake of eternity, and a magical ring he called his semi-precious. But by night, he emerged from his cave, filled with bloodlust, and every night he killed another unfortunate soul and devoured him on the spot. All the best knights in the land came to do battle with him, and all were killed. Soon the remaining knights impressed upon the shop steward that assigning the dragon's quest would prove more dangerous for the steward than for the dragon. But then there came into the land an intrepid courier by the name of Royal Mail's Barkan of Kipchak. His regularly appointed rounds took him past the dragon's cave every day, and so he learned of the monster's dread habits. Barkan racked his brains, and one day he thought of how to bring relief to the land. He arranged for the dragon to be placed on the mailing list of every junk mailer on Taurus. Soon the volume of the dragon's daily mail was staggering. It took him longer and longer every day to go through it until he no longer had the time to ravage the countryside. Barkan's strategy was successful, but the courier paid with his life. He died of a hernia delivering the dragon's mail on Wednesday following a 4-day weekend. Now there is only one day a year when the dragon emerges from his cave. Every year on the anniversary of the Courier's death, the dragon flies over the St. Barkan's Day Festival and swoops down to carry off a fairgoer. The storyteller stands and seems to stare right at you. Today is the day of the dragon's flight, but none of you should worry. He only seems to attack extremely unlucky people. I am in big, big trouble. The storyteller leaves the stage and the amphitheater empties, marking the end of the tale. And that took the better part of a half hour, so we'll go ahead and keep waiting. Wait. And wait some more. The auditorium fills with fairgoers eager to see the famous songstress Lily. Yowza! Lily bumps and grinds her way to the edge of the stage and begins to sing. The temperature in the immediate area instantly climbs by 5 degrees. My name is Darling Lily, and I'm here to sing for you. My heart is in the right place, and my other parts are too. But any man who wants me has to pass a little test. So stay a while and listen if you want to keep abreast. Oh my. She shimmies over to the other side of the stage to sing the next verse. 2 men in the front row pass out and are quickly revived with buckets of water that are kept on hand for just that purpose. The test is very simple. It really is a beaut. I'll run you up the maypole and watch as you salute. Just bring me back the clothing that sits atop that tree, and you'll get in the garden to pick my fleur-de-lis. Lily undulates back to the center of the stage to sing the final verse of her song. Everybody in the first 2 rows rushes toward the stage. They're beaten back by the security crew. Now, Helen had the features that could launch 10,000 ships, but I can bring them back here with a wiggle of my hips. So come on, boys, and try it if you're tired of being chased, 'cause apples left unminded are a terrible thing to waste. The crowd goes wild. Lily leans forward in a deep bow, which almost sparks off a riot. After an extended standing ovation, she finally blows some kisses to the crowd and leaves the stage. The amphitheater slowly empties, and after a while, you're left alone. And even though I am sitting, I am giving her a standing ovation. As you get ready to leave, an usher comes up to you and hands you a note. Read note. I saw you out front during the show. Please meet me in my dressing room. Willie. Willie? Yes, this would be the character who, if this were a Mel Brooks movie, she'd be getting played by Madeline Kahn. Kahn! Well, let's go see her. You present your invitation to the burly guard who grudgingly ushers you into Lily's boudoir. And you'll note that everything in this room has now changed to reflect Lily's speech impediment. Lily's boudoir is filled with feminine touches. It is oddly fit for a room set in the middle of a fairground. In the vase, you see a weed. Lily meets you as you come in and says, Ewick, how thrilling! She sits down and continues, I hope you enjoyed my show. I noticed you in the crowd and I couldn't help but think to myself, wow, what a guy. She leans forward a little and purrs. I hope this will be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Of course, it is not going to let me do this. Unless you bring me the boy, Eric, the amount of nookie you see will be 0. Place leech on Lily. A legal nymph appears from the firm of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe, and appears and says, You've got good instinct, kids. You make a fine lawyer one day. Look us up when you finish your quest. Yes, that was never silly thing on the list, just putting the leech on someone. So let's see, what have I done on the silly list? Tried kissing the herald, attack the herald, throw up, tried that earlier, kiss the prisoner in the stocks, kiss the boy with the apple, there's what we have not done yet, I'll surprise you, clean the maypole, examine the spit, turn the spit, try and get the stocks, then do it a second time, examine everything in the Pavilion of Tomorrow, look inside the chamber pot, sit on the chamber pot. After the elf tries to turn one of the shells, undo. Kiss the aardvark, kiss the leech, put the leech on a person. Try to take the viper's cage, try to cover the viper's cage. Try to take the rubber band after you've used it on the viper. Just leaves us a few things there. Now let's go ahead and examine what else we've got in here. She's a were beauty. Examine bowies. Bowies? Buoys? The rod and bowies are bright blue and about as big as the tip of your finger. It's a flame drawing of the actor Robin Williams. It's a flail weed. You see a hazy reflection of yourself. Yeah, I want to see if they'll let me examine her boobs in particular. Well, let's go ahead and wait for that juggling act. The amphitheater fills. A troop of jugglers come on stage and begin tossing bizarre objects back and forth between them. After a while, they challenge people in the audience to toss something they can't juggle. Okay. Let's throw the chicken at them. The jugglers definitely catch the chicken, juggle it for a while, and then toss it back to you. Some of the crowd tosses a lit torch up on the stage. The jugglers field it flawlessly, working into the intricate pattern of objects they are handling. After a while, they toss it back into the crowd where it disappears. Get on stage. You leap onto the stage and belt out a quick chorus of "There's no business like show business" before the ushers collar you and hustle you back to your seat. Yep, had that one on there. Attack! Jugglers. You rush the stage. One of the jugglers claps his hand and shouts, "Hey!" Another comes behind you and shouts, "Ho!" and then tosses you onto the shoulders of the first. They throw you around for a while and then flip you back into your seat. Impressive. Okay, so we got that one done, got that one done. Okay. Let's see how they handle this. Throw, leech to jugglers. You toss the leech to the jugglers. As soon as one of their special gloves touches the huge sucker, the leech sticks fast. Another juggler tries to come over to help, but his glove gets stuck as well. It quickly becomes apparent to the crowd that the jugglers have failed the challenge, and they begin to boo. The performers sheepishly remove their gloves, drop them on stage, and slink away. Once they're gone, the amphitheater quickly empties and the leech crawls away. Get gloves. Wear gloves. Well, we now have sticky gloves, so we can climb the pole. The gloves stick to the pole like jelly to a baby's face. You clamber up to the top of the pole and pluck the boa from its perch. You wave it over your head and triumph and slide back down to the ground where you are greeted with cheers from the assembled crowd. I'm delighted to see you again so soon, especially if it means you've recovered my boa. Give boa to Lily. Oh, Alec, how thrilling! She throws her arm around you and gives you a kiss. Then she wraps the boa around your neck and says, "You may wear this as my champion as you begin the second half of the quest to prove that you love me." "Second part," you cry. "But I did as you asked." "Grappling up a grease pole shows agility," Alec, she replies. "And agility is nice, but it doesn't prove you have the strength and daring I crave. To demonstrate that, I must ask you to bring me the head of the ravenous raven of Wangoon." She hands you the weed from the vase. The raven will eat anything, as his name implies, but he especially loves this kind of weed. You can use this bait to entrap him. Yes, unfortunately, we are not going to get a chance to win the heart of Lily. Oh, it's no big shock, really. I mean, we got a princess we're trying to save and get married to and get half the kingdom. But we do have a use for that reed now because, well, thanks to Lily's speech impediment, the weed is now a reed. You can't read a reed. I had to try it. It's a frail reed. Well, this is another sort of a pun. Because now we can give the reed to the musician. The musician's eyes light up. "Oh, thank you," he cries. "I'm back in business. Is there anything I can do to repay you?" "Well," you say, "now that you mention it, I wouldn't mind having it look through those sunglasses. You can keep them," the musician says. "It's a small enough reward for what you've done for me." He hands you the sunglasses and runs off to find the other members of his band. Wear glasses. Play game. And it turns out that, yes, the magic glasses reveal that the pea is under the red shell. Or whichever shell it would be under. The elf's face falls and he looks a bit older. "You win," he says. He gives you the woodcuts. I've got to find a spot where people don't have glasses like that. I'm not getting any younger, you know. He packs up his gear and leaves. Okay, examine... woodcuts. It's a collection of woodcuts that show silhouettes of Louie in a variety of poses that make your eyeballs sweat and your ears steam. Now, who do we know who would appreciate this gift? Whoa, would you get a load of those gams? The barker grabs the woodcuts out of your hands and begins an intense study of them, losing all interest in you. Which means he won't stop us from taking the crossbow. This is on the silly list. You leap into the crowd, grab a sword from someone, and start blopping off heads left and right. The carnage continues until you have slaughtered everyone in sight. Your bloodless aid, you turn to leave the scene when a mouse runs across your path. You faint dead away, falling on your sword in the process. We're going to go ahead and undo that. You fire a few bolts over the heads of the crowd. Look at them go, you cry. They're running like scared rabbits. You start cackling to yourself and are still muttering when the men in the white coats arrive to take you away to the tourist home for the criminally insane. There you lead a quiet life until one day you accidentally beat Gunford the Malignant at croquet, and he decides to use your head as his ball in the next game. You have failed. So yes, responsible crossbow use, kids. And I think that does everything on the silly list. Well, except for one thing. But it is on our pathway because, as you might have guessed, with everything that we've been getting and picking up and all the protective clothing that we are accumulating, we are building ourselves a makeshift set of armor to protect us from the dragon's fire. And we now have a weapon with which we can fight it. The Dragon's Lair is a huge, dark cavern ruled by the very dragon who now looms before you. The monster seems invulnerable to attack, except, of course, for the vulnerable spot in his tail, revealed by your magic sunglasses. In the darkness of the cave behind the dragon is a magic ring. The object of today's quest, the raw stick of eternity, is also visible in the shadows. The only exit is to the east. Suddenly, the dragon's vulnerable spot shifts to his eyes. The dragon flames your chest, but the apron protects you from his attack. Okay, let's go ahead and shoot Dragon's head. You fire the crossbow at the head. Just before the coral strikes, the vulnerable spot moves, but not to where you're aiming. The coral bounces off the dragon and eats it. Suddenly, the dragon's vulnerable spot shifts to his breast. The dragon flames the top of your head, but the fool's cap protects you from the attack. And really the trick here is that you have to just pick one target and keep aiming at it, and eventually the target will shift there. And it shifted there much faster than expected this time. You fire the crossbow at the head. The vulnerable spot moves right over your targeted area. The coral strikes. The dragon shrieks with a great hiss of escaping air. He suddenly deflates before your eyes. Moments later, he is scampering around on the ground at your feet, about the size of a cigarette lighter. Your score has just gone up by 20. Get dragon. Alright. Get stake. You snatch both the stake and the ring. Suddenly you hear a low rumbling and the cave begins to crumble around you. You run for your life, but just as you reach the mouth of the cave, a cataclysmic explosion shoots you up into the air like a human cannonball, scattering your possessions to the four winds. You travel for miles in a high trajectory. When you finally plummet toward the ground, your fall is broken by the branches of a large ukagum tree near the foot of the Mountain of the Gods. You stumble toward the branches, fall to the ground, and are knocked unconscious. Score just went up by 25, though. Meanwhile, mirror, mirror, bright and clean, will I soon be crowned the queen? Griselda fair, this can I say, your life will change come Saturday. Mirror, mirror, back with fled, is Sir Eric not yet dead? Princess mine, I'll give these odds, he will this day be with the gods. Mirror, mirror, be a pal, am I rid of L'Oreal? Grizzly fair, I can aver that by next week you'll know for sure. Mirror, mirror in my hand, who's the fairest in the land? princess dear, you are quite fair, but with your smile, none can compare. Alright, and that brings us to Day 5 in a pasture with a unicorn. And this is where we shall end this chapter. So verily, join me next time for when we will spend the day with the gods themselves. See you then.